Now, heavy rainfall and rising river levels have been reported in Lower Subansiri district, prompting authorities to issue an urgent alert. Officials are asking for immediate dissemination of the warning and necessary preventive action as the situation is being closely monitored. And joining me with more details is Nibir Dekar. Nibir, what can you tell our viewers?
Well, absolutely. The rainwaters have created havoc in Arunachal Pradesh. Today, we have seen that there is heavy rainfall and rising river flow over the lower Subansiri district, which has led to landslides as well as waters entering different parts of the state, and which has led to a lot of issue. There was a cloud burst which has led to excessive rainfall. It was an unprecedented situation which has led to this emerging situation. We have got to know that certain villages under the NIPCO area were inundated with the rushing flood waters, and currently as we speak, the NDRF and the SDRF are doing an all-out operations to control this situation. However, things remain tense and all-out efforts are being done to rescue and rehabilitate those who are stranded now.
All right, Nibir, thanks for joining me. Now, USA-based GE Aerospace has submitted its technical analysis report to the Aircraft Accident Investigation Bureau in connection with the Air India flight AI171. Officials say the company examined the Boeing 787 engines that were sent to the United States as part of the investigation process. With the submission of this report, a key procedural hurdle that had been delaying progress is now understood to have been cleared. The AAIB is expected to move ahead with preparations for the final investigation report in the case. Atul Ranjan is joining me with the latest updates. What can you tell us, Atul?
Well, the American company GE Aerospace was the one that was chosen by AAIB for the analysis of the Boeing 787 engines. The engines that were concerned with the crash Air India of 171 flight. Now, what we're given to understand is that the report by the GE Aerospace has been submitted finally to the AAIB, the Aviation Aircraft Accident Investigation Bureau of India, and now the AAIB should be able to very soon finalize the report when it comes to the AI171 crash incident that happened last year on 12th June.
All right, viewers, so this is, of course, the big breaking update that we're sharing with you on NewsX at this hour. The USA-based GE Aerospace has now submitted its technical analysis report to the Aircraft Accident Investigation Bureau, and this is in connection with the Air India flight AI171. Officials say the company examined the Boeing 787 engines that were sent to the United States as part of the investigation process. With the submission of this report, a key procedural hurdle that had been delaying progress is now understood to have been cleared. And I have my colleague Atul Ranjan back with me. We lost the connection earlier. Atul, what can you tell us?
Well, yes, as I was saying, GE Aerospace was the one which was chosen by the AAIB for analysis of the Boeing 787 engines, that was recovered post the accident, And now it is quite crucial because there are very few companies, in fact, very few organizations which have that kind of capacity to examine and investigate Boeing 787 engines, and that is why it took a lot of delay when it comes to the final report of the AI171 crash. Now finally, when the GE Aerospace has submitted the report, it is expected that probably within 2 months, AAIB should be able to finalize the report. Now remember, preliminary report by AIB was already submitted last year post the accident, but it has been over a year because the incident happened last year on 12th June. So it's easily over a year, and by all metrics, it is expected that the investigation report should be submitted within a year. So we have already reached that time. Now, given the fact that the main hurdle in the whole investigation that has been cleared, this is expected that the AIB would be able to finally submit a report in the accident, and maybe the families who are waiting for a closure would be able to get one.
Atul, the question also is that has GE Aerospace identified any issues related to the engines, or are authorities maintaining confidentiality at this stage?
Vaishal, I could not hear you. Could you repeat?
Atul, I'm saying that has GE Aerospace identified any issues related specifically to the engine, or are authorities maintaining confidentiality at this stage?
There is a great deal of confidentiality when it comes to the findings of the engines, and what exactly GE Aerospace found out when in the analysis of the Boeing 787 engines is something which would be obviously be declared by AIB when they finally submit the report. Obviously, GE Aerospace has maintained silence over the the findings of the report, and so has the AIB. In fact, we're learning from our sources is that the whole piece of information is something we are learning from our sources, and not something which has been communicated clearly to the press by AIB or by the GE Aerospace. So clearly, but what is important is that the report has been submitted, and that should be able to help AIB to finally come to the conclusion of the report, because all other parts of the investigation, in fact, has already been concluded by AIB, and this was the one last major hurdle, and but very crucial aspect, because it was concerning the engines of the concerned aircraft, and that is why the delay was being caused. Now, since the report has been submitted by GE Aerospace, it should be expected that within 2 months max to max, AIB should be able to submit a final report in the matter.
Thanks, Atul, for joining me. Now, a warehouse room